Welcome to Talk to Me, Baby, the show that believes knowing yourself and living in accordance with who you are is the biggest asset you can possess in life. I'm your host, Emily de Armas, and today we are talking about letting go. Ooh, letting go. So we're going to talk about letting go from some different angles, whether you are at a point in your life where you are realizing that there's something that's got to go and you're grappling with that side of it, or if you are trying to call something into your life, create something in your life, and you need to let go and just let it happen for you, right? In either case, there is a core theme, as with most things in life. So we will talk about them. And in the second half of the episode, when we go into deep talk, we will do another guided meditation because I got a lot of positive feedback from the last episode when we did it. And so I'm thinking maybe this can be a new little tradition. I don't know how many times you have to do something in order for it to be considered a tradition, but if you enjoy it, please let me know and I will continue to do the guided meditations. If you don't like them, let me know too. I will consider going back to our previous version of Deep Talk. Letting go of a situation, a person, a place, a job, a relationship, whatever it might be, an identity even, is an act of trust and it is an act of faith. Same thing if you are trying to manifest something, you're trying to create something in your life, and you're at the point where you just need to let it go and you need to let it happen. That is also an act of trust and an act of faith. When we are faced with situations that we know we need to let go, it's often very uncomfortable because you have been living up until this point in that situation, person, place, job, relationship, identity, state of being, habit, whatever it is, no longer serves you up until this point. And it's time to let it go. It's time to move on to something else. But moving on to something else requires a gap. Right? In both of these scenarios, whether you're trying to manifest something and bring it in, or you're letting go of something that's already there, you are going to experience a gap in time where there's nothing. Okay? I mean, not in every single situation in life. You might be going from one job to another. That's pretty common. But still, there's a period of adjustment where you are getting used to being in this new place, and there's a gap. There's a gap between where you were, how you've been doing things up until this point, what your life has looked like up until this point, and then now where you're going. And if you're manifesting something and you're still kind of in your current situation and the new thing has not come in yet, then you're also in that gap. Both of these scenarios require a sense of trust and a sense of faith because you are making space for something in your life. And the problem with humans, the problem that we usually have, is that we don't always trust. We second guess. We look for validation outside of ourselves externally. We ask a lot of questions. We even look outside of ourselves in a sense because we're not trusting our heart and our gut. We're asking our mind to figure things out. And your girl loves a pro and cons list, but at the end of the day, you have to move forward with what your heart is telling you and what your gut is telling you because your head can convince you of pretty much anything. I don't know about you, but that's certainly true for me. My head can see any side of any story, any situation. I can convince myself, nope, this is the best choice, or what about this, and this might be the best choice. And I've had to learn how to tap into my intuition, and it's a different way of living for me. And letting go also might mean letting go of your expectations, allowing yourself to be surprised instead of trying to constantly predict what is going to happen, what's the best route. And again, that's a new way of living for me that I'm still trying to move into. The old way is, it's not going quietly. Let's just say that. And I'm moving into this other way of being where I don't need to see 50 steps ahead of me. I just need to see the next step. And I've been operating from a standpoint for a very long time where I would go about decisions in my life like, I'm going to do this and it's going to get me this, and then this is going to happen, and then that's going to happen, and then that's going to lead to this, and then that's going to lead to the thing that I want that's going to make me happy. First of all, you cannot possibly see all of the steps that are in between. You might think that you can, and you might think, okay, well, I want this thing, so then how do I track backwards from that? Like, how do I work backwards from this goal and then map out what needs to happen? But you're not allowing for surprise. You're not allowing for the universe to bring you something that might even be better than what you could have conceived with your mind because your mind is limited. Your mind is limited to what you know. Whereas your soul, your intuition is tapped into this greater sense of consciousness that gives you much greater access to information. And so you have to trust those nudges. You might not know where you're going and why, but if you can let go of the need to know, then you can actually get somewhere a lot faster. I will give you an example. The first day that this kind of clicked in for me, I was thinking, okay, so all I need to do is sort of follow my highest excitement and the path will unfold, right? My higher self, my intuition knows what I want. All I need to do is follow what makes me most excited, follow what feels right in the moment, and then I'll be led to things. I arrived at this conclusion because I was listening to Bashar, spiritual teacher, and Bashar was explaining this concept. Like, all you need to do is follow your highest excitement. So that really resonated with me, and I was like, okay. And the very next day, I was in the car. I was going to Vizcaya for a tour of the Rose Gardens. And I know how to get to Vizcaya here in Miami, Florida. I know how to drive there. But I was like, I'll put it in the GPS anyway, because I'm not exactly sure where the turn is, so I'll put it in the GPS. And I was in the car, and then at one point, it was telling me to make a right. And I was like, really? I was going to make a right at the light. I wasn't going to make a right here. But then I thought, okay, well, Emily, if you are trusting in the nudges of the universe, like, and you're telling yourself you want to be led by the universe and trust in that, then maybe you could start with a GPS. I don't know, just a thought. Let's just see what the GPS says. And so I turned, and I swear I was taken down this street that I have never driven down in my entire life, okay, of living in that area. Okay, grew up in the Rhodes area of Miami, which is close to Vizcaya. I had never once gone down this street, and it was an actual shortcut. I would have kept driving straight, and then I would have turned to go where I wanted to go. This was a complete shortcut. And that's when it clicked, and I was like, oh, if I just trust and I let go of my need to know exactly what's going to happen and how things are going to play out, then first of all, I can get there faster, potentially, because the universe knows about shortcuts that I don't. But I can also just relax. I don't need to be scanning and thinking and analyzing, which is a different way of being for most of us, because most of us are taught to break our goals down into these baby steps. And you can still do that. But I think it's important to not let that override your sense of intuition. And that's what I'm playing with now, is listening to my intuition, following what it's telling me, and actually bringing it into that goal planning phase, and not just relying on my mind, is really relying on my gut and what is my gut telling me to do, and then doing that thing, even if it's slightly different from what I thought I was going to be doing. Because for the first time, I don't really have a clear picture of where it is that I want to go in certain aspects of my life. I'm just kind of along for the ride, and we'll see what happens. But this is a very different way of being, and it requires a great deal of trust. And when you're in a place where you are letting go of something in your life, you have to have trust. You have to have faith, whether you're letting go of something that you know you need to let go of, and maybe there's a part of you that's afraid of what might come in its place. There's a sense of unknown of, I don't know what's going to come in its place. I don't know if I'm really going to love this job more than this last job. I don't know if what I'm letting go of is going to be replaced with something better. We get stuck into fear. We get stuck into a scarcity mindset. Same thing with when you're letting go because you need to surrender and you need to allow the universe to bring something to you. You've kind of done as much as you can in the 3D reality, and now you're in the gap, and you have to just wait in the gap. There can be this insistence. Are you sure you really know what I want? Are you sure it's really going to happen? We're not seeing things in 3D reality yet, and that's when you need faith. That's when you need to trust that it will work out, and trust that you will receive whatever it is that you want, and just have faith that it's coming and not be obsessively thinking about it. So an exercise you can do very quickly for either of these scenarios is to write down what Abraham Hicks calls the positive aspects. So if there's a situation that you're letting go of and you're kind of afraid because there's some elements of it that you do like, write down what those elements are and focus on those. And even if you're letting go of something and you don't want it anymore, you're like, oh, screw this, get this away from me, I'm done, I'm sick of this. Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes we get into a place where we need things to get really bad before we're ready to let go of them. But don't carry the bad things with you. Still do this exercise. Even, I know it sounds crazy, but if there's a situation and you're like, this sucks, I don't want anything to do with this anymore, if you can, write down the positive aspects of it. Because if you're focused on what you don't like and you're hyper focused on that, you're just going to create more of that when you're moving forward. So, in any case, when you're letting go of a situation, whether you feel 100% confident in doing so or not, write down what it is that you liked about it or what was beneficial to you, and keep that in mind as you're moving forward. Same thing if you're trying to call something in and you have to just let go, write down the aspects of it that really feel good to you. But you're going to want to do that from a place of commanding and not demanding. Demanding comes from a place of need. I need this, and so I need to make sure you have it right, and I'm going to write it all down because I'm not trusting that you're getting it, and I got to write it down for you because it needs to be in the contract, so to speak. Commanding comes from a place of, I trust that this is on its way, and it's going to be really fun. Right? Commanding is being in a state of empowerment. It's going to be really awesome. I can't wait to experience this. I can't wait for this to happen, and I'm going to have a lot of fun experiencing XYZ thing, and it's going to be great for me, and it's going to benefit me in these ways. Try to not white knuckle it. Try to let go and let it be. Let's dive into deep talk, and we'll do our guided meditation. If you are driving, please keep driving. Be safe. If you are able to, go ahead and close your eyes and get comfy. Start by just breathing normally. Sigh it out if you need to. Wiggle it out. And I want you to imagine that you are breathing from the soles of your feet up to the top of your head. Imagine that the air is coming in through the bottom of your feet, traveling up through your legs, your torso, filling your lungs, your chest, into your face, all the way up to the top of your crown. And just be here for a second. Nothing for you to do. Just relax. If there's any tension in your body, make note of it, but don't try to change it. Just let it be there. If you're having trouble concentrating or you're having thoughts, just note them, let them be there, and keep breathing. You can go ahead and start to deepen your breaths as you sink into this moment. I want you to think about something that you're ready to let go. It could be a job, a situation, a person, a place, a circumstance, a habit, or an aspect of yourself that you're ready to move on from. Maybe you're worrying about something that you want, and it's time to let go of that worry. Whatever comes to mind is right. There are no right or wrong answers here. I want you to think about whatever it is that you want to let go of. And I want you to think about why. Why is it time for this to go? Why is it time for you to drop this weight? Keep breathing. And now I want you to think about your life after you let this go. How would you feel differently? How would you be behaving? How would your life change? If what you're letting go of is painful to you, that's okay. I still want you to think about how your life could potentially benefit from letting go anyway. And if there's something that you want and it's not here yet, I want you to think about letting go of being in that waiting state, of letting someone else take responsibility to bring it to you. Keep breathing. I want you to imagine that you're standing in front of a river and it's nighttime. This could be a river that you know or just a river that you imagine. I want you to walk up to the edge of the riverbank and sit down. I want you to stare at the water and notice how it's moving. How all the water is flowing in one direction. And yet there's still always water. And anything that gets put into that river is going to be carried by the current. And still there will be water flowing continuously. In a never-ending cycle. I want you to imagine that there are little tiny boats lined up against the edge of the water. Not that much bigger than the palm of your hand. I want you to think about whatever it is that you want to let go. And gently place it in that boat. Hold it in your hand. And walk towards the river's edge. And when you're ready, put your boat in the water and let it be carried by the stream. And as you watch this little boat float away, I want you to imagine a big ball of light rising up from the river, illuminating everything around you. Glowing even though it's nighttime. Watch as your little boat floats down the river into this light. Thank it for what it's brought you, what it's taught you, what you've experienced, and also what's to come. And when you're ready, take a deep breath. Sink into your body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Come back to the present moment. And open your eyes. This has been your episode of Talk to Me Baby. I hope it makes letting go a little bit easier. In the description box, you will find a song that thematically aligns to today's episode if you want to go ahead and give it a listen, as well as anything that I am wearing. Please do all of the internet-y things, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you enjoyed this episode. I love hearing from you, and I love knowing if these episodes are resonating with you or not. And let me know what you'd like to hear more of. I'm your host, Emily de Armas, and I will talk to you later.